Hey guys, welcome to Spiritual Musings of a Popcorn Brain. I've decided to do season 2 about me so that you can understand who I am and where I'm coming from. So each episode I'll give you some insight into my history as to why I think and believe the way that I do. So I mentioned all, or at least some of the ways that I had tried to reconcile with James, but he wasn't interested. Every attempt was sabotaged. We did start divorce proceedings. I had wanted him to admit that he wanted the divorce, that he wasn't honestly wanting to continue, but it took a bit to get him to be able to actually admit that he didn't want to move forward. So we started the divorce proceedings, and I moved in with my mom, and my daughters were small, so we were in one room together. And I was not greedy, and I actually took way less than I rightfully could have had for child support during this time of working out the agreement and child support, because I figured out what I could live on, and it was less than what was allowed. And I was spending a lot of time in prayer and trying to figure out, what do I do now? What is this going to look like? This is so different than where I thought I would be at this point. And I realized that there would be a desire to date at some point, although I did make a commitment to James that if he were sincere about wanting to reconcile, that he had until the divorce was final to actually reconcile. And so I think he viewed that as me trying to hang on and tried to use it manipulatively. But it was pretty obvious that he was not wanting to reconcile. He never actually wanted to do the things that it would take to reconcile. He avoided those like the plague. So we were going through this path, and the divorce was drawing nearer, and the person that he had the affair with, she was also destroying her family because she thought that she had found someone better. And he had wanted to start talking at some point because of our kids. They were going to be together, and knowing how easily lies had come to our soon-to-be exes, he wanted to keep up communication so that we would be able to know what was really going on. And that made sense to me. So we talked, and we were sending emails back and forth. Some of the things that he would bring up was when I was trying to reconcile with James, and I would ask James a question, and he would get upset that I knew more than he wanted me to know, and I would get in trouble for knowing things. And it was because of Jonathan had told me things. Now, Jonathan is the actual name of her soon-to-be ex at this point in the story. So Jonathan and I decided to get together for a lunch and discuss things and see where things were going. And when we had that lunch, it was very different, because here we are, we're both going through divorce settlement stuff, and neither one of us is necessarily interested yet in trying to date, although we know that that's right around the corner. But we hit it off. We realized we had a lot in common. And this was scary to me because of the commitment I had made. So I did my best to keep him at a distance, because if James wanted to get back together, I was going to make our marriage work, because I knew that that would honor God, and that God would make it work and could restore the love and the blessings and just help us to thrive if we were both open to it. But it takes two, and this is where I realized where that saying comes from, that it takes two to make a marriage work. I always thought that was another stupid one. Well, of course it takes two, because otherwise you're not married. But both of you have to be working on the marriage. That's why it takes two. It can't just be one of you doing everything for the other one. That's not a marriage. That's slavery at best. So we started talking, and it was amazing how much we had in common. And my divorce did go through. James was not interested in reconciling, like I had a feeling was the case, and started dating Jonathan. And we just realized how much we had in common and how much we thought alike. And there was so much in common that we actually were growing close together very rapidly, which was scary. So I was praying and praying and praying, and because in my past, I had made lists, because I got that idea in one of my, I don't remember if it was youth groups or in college, about making a list of the kind of person you want to marry and praying about it. Well, I had done that with that boyfriend I had mentioned in a previous episode that I thought I was going to marry. I had made a list, and he was not the one. I had made a list with James, and now it's very evident, and now I am divorced, and clearly he was not, and I use the term the one. That's not an appropriate or Christian phrase. That comes out of Greek mythology, so pardon me. But I was making bad choices. This list idea was not helping me. So I realized that I just needed to be prayerful about who I was choosing, and be listening and seeking God, and let Him direct my path to whomever I should be with. So I actually was praying something I had never prayed before. I was praying for red flags. God, please show me any reason why I should not be with Jonathan. And I was hearing crickets. There was nothing. So we started dating, and we did get married. And I have more to share about this story, but long story short, we actually will be celebrating 15 years soon. God has redeemed a horrible situation. Jonathan is everything and more that I had hoped and prayed for James to become. I am so blessed. I also know that where I am would not be if I hadn't been seeking what God wanted me to do, what He wanted for me, how He wanted me to treat others, all the things that he was teaching me, all the heartache I had to go through. But he used that. That was the refining fire in my life to help purify me, at least some, and move me closer towards him. If you found this useful, or you know someone who would, then please share this with them or subscribe. Thank you for letting me share my popcorn brain.